All right, so what we're going to do is we have the, first this problem was finding the distance between negative 3, 2 and 5, 1. We found that was 8.09. And now the second part, this part B right here, part B is going to find, it's going to be, find the ratio point that's 1/3 distance from, let's go, negative 3, 2. So in this case, we've already done some of the work here. We already know that in this last problem, all the work we did was basically on this board. I can't see. Okay. So what we already did is we found we plotted our 2 points, found the change in our x, this distance, and the change in our, the change in y, this distance, and the change in x, this distance. So we have our new triangle 1 and 8. Now the thing is, we're trying to find 1/3 distance from this top point. So if I looked at this line segment, I'd say, well, it's probably around here. That's about 1/3 of the way. But to find the point of that, we need to go ahead and go in and do this. We need to find the distance for x. So that's going to be just x sub 2 minus x sub 1. The absolute value of that times the ratio. Okay. That's going to give us how much of a change that 1/3, the 1/3 distance is going to be for x values. Then we're going to do another thing with that. So we're going to do that for x, we're going to do it for y. Time ratio. Okay. So in this case, we end up with, let's see, we already worked it out for us. This was 8, so we get 8 times 1/3. We already worked out for the y's, that was 1. 1 times 1/3. So we end up with 8/3, and we end up with 1/3. Now, these aren't the new, this isn't the new order pair.
Shouldn't that be y1?
Y1, yeah. Thanks. Right. So here's the deal. This is the increment. Instead of saying the entire distance between these two things, what we're saying here is really, what is 1/3 of the distance from this top point, from negative 3, 2? What's 1/3 distance? So what I need to do is, I need to think of it this way. I'm going to go ahead and take my x values here. It starts at negative 3. So negative 3, I need to move 8/3 this way. 8/3. 8/3 is approximately 2.8 or so. 2.6. Okay. So this is where once you find how far you're going to move, you need to look to see what point you're moving from. And because negative 3, 2 is on this side, if I need to move over this direction, I'm going to add my scale distance here. We're going to add to the 8. Sorry, negative 3. Because my x value for the point that I'm looking to find the distance from is negative 3, I add 8/3 plus negative 3. So what are we going to end up with this? You said 2.6. So we end up with positive 0.04. So my new point for this is 0.4. And let's see what we have to do with this one. So this is different. Look to see what we're doing. We're moving 1/3 of the way. 1/3 of the way down this line. But I'm starting at the point for y values of 2. Since I'm starting at 2, am I going to add my 1/3 above it? or below it? Above or below? Below. So since this right here is at 2, I know that it's on this line here, so I need to look at the 2 for y, subtract that 1/3 to get down to this point. So let's go ahead and what we're going to do in this case is minus 2. Or excuse me, that's the other way around. 2 minus that factor of the distance. And that gets you 1 2/3, 1.666. We'll stop the 2 6s. This is, there's one challenge problem like this. This isn't a key topic, but it is part of the standard. Basically think of, all you have to do is find this distance, right? Multiply it by the scale factor. Once you have that value, you have to think about what point you're moving from. It did say the distance from that top point. So since I know it's on this line, I know here we're up at 2. So I have to move down 1/3, and that gets me down 1/3 of the way for the y's. It's going to get me keyed up at that spot. For the x's, we had 8. So in that case, I knew that it's going to be 8/3 is how far I need to move over. So I'm going to take my -3, I'm going to add 8/3. Gets me my other point. So we can see that this point right here is I think it makes more sense if I switch these. It's the same thing, I just changed it around. Sometimes you have to add, sometimes you have to subtract. You have to just look to see, and the diagram is going to help you with that. This one's complicated. I think we can do it. Any questions coming up? Clarifiers? Thumbs up, sideways, or down for this one? Yeah. I think after you get a chance to do one of the problems, number 8 is your honors question for this. If you want more practice than that, actually we'll stop with 8 for now. All right, that's it. Thanks.